What's up guys, Tommy with TT Motorsports here. We're going to do a quick walk around of this 2003 Toyota Tacoma Prerunner, aka the Longweiney. Let's get it started. Alright guys, let's start up front here. So we got the McNeil 6-inch fenders, Hanneman supercharger hood. Already got that pulled off, so once we lower the truck down we can show you what's going on under there. Up front is our TT Motorsports 2-wheel drive race kit. Fully boxed uppers, lowers, fabricated spindle, 1.5 uniballs, 1-inch uppers. All on Heims, bushings. Outside here we got the Dana 44 5-lug hub, which will match the 9-inch rear in the back. 37-inch BFG KM2 on a 17-inch method grid titanium wheel. C25 coilover, 3.0 bypass, 3-inch travel air bump, all Fox. Got full fabbed engine cage, cab cage 2-inch, 1.75 up front here. Chopped about 15 inches off the front of the frame so you can see that approach angle that we have. We're an aftermarket aluminum radiator. Since the factory radiator drops so low between the frame rails, this gives us that extra clearance. Still running heater, air conditioning. Aftermarket windshield washer reservoir there. See the firewall has been smashed, beat, and tubbed to clear these 37s. Full bump, full lock, as well as the fender being trimmed. Slight bit there. Alright, now let's head out back, see what we got going on there. This is our old style 55-inch trailing arms, hooked up to a Ford Econoline 9-inch rear end, truss and tabs for the 4-link, GM disc brakes, 5 on 5.5 bolt pattern, 35 spline axles. Right now we actually have a third with 6.0 gears in it and a full spool. I normally run a zip locker in the third member, an air locker with 529 gears. But the last few trips we've been doing, the 6.0s just seem to work a little better, a little easier on the truck since it's not a lot of high speed. Again, Fox shocks out back, 2.5 14-inch coilover, 3.0 16-inch bypass, 4-inch stroke air bump. This is a sway away sway bar with some TT Motorsports fabbed arms on it. You can see there the 4-link. Got everything running up the upper links, our vent lines, brake lines, air lines, all that. You run them up the upper link so you don't have a long steel braided brake line hanging from the chassis all the way to the rear axle, which works out a little better. We have dual quad wrapped limit straps per side. We just zip tie a bungee cord between the two, keeps them pulling in as the suspension compresses so the limit strap doesn't come out and hit the tire. Out back here we got the 8-inch Fiberworks bedside, still running this factory Tacoma tail light. You can see we paneled the whole bed with some 50 thou aluminum, bead rolled it, custom license plate frame, and then this massive 3/16 rear skid plate. Just keeps everything nice and smooth, so if you come up a transition or anything like that, it will hit that instead of, you know, tube work and getting you hung up. Here's a better look at that rear 4-link. Alright, the look from below. You got dual Optima yellow top batteries there on the side. You can see our Viair air tank. There's a Viair air compressor, second Viair air compressor. Run a limit strap for our driveline loop, so if we lose a U-joint, anything like that, we don't pogo the rear of the truck. This is what's standard on race vehicles. I like to run on anything that's off-road just as a safety precaution. Alright, now we move forward a little bit. It's a little hard to see, but we actually removed the entire factory floorboard and rear firewall. Framed it out with some tube and some new bead rolled steel. It just gives us a lot more room in the back seat so we can have a couple more full-size race seats so more people can enjoy the truck. Alright, so we just showed you around underneath the truck, so let's get it lowered down so we can go in the cab and show you what's going on in there. Alright, back seat area. We got 2 PRP high back racing seats, Crow 4-point harnesses. The seats are actually bolted to a bracket that is then bolted to the floorboard, so if we aren't needing the rear seats, we actually can remove both of those so the floor is flat. The factory Tacoma floor comes up to about here for the gas tank and everything. So like I said earlier, we cut out the factory floor. So from this point back and all the way up, we removed the floor, rear firewall, factory sheet metal, plated that all in. So now the seats can sit quite a bit lower, which gives you enough headroom. We have a full 2-inch cage, 1 3/4 diagonals. There's a tube hidden behind here that you can't see. Not a whole lot of room in the back, but enough to be able to fit smaller people or, you know, the dogs. All right, here's the front area. We got a couple PRP podium seats, nice removable seat cushions. You can see the 2-inch cage, it's plated in right here. Let's wait for this to focus. All right, you can see we're storing the factory headliner. Most of the factory interior paneling just keeps things a lot quieter. We dynamated underneath the headliner, underneath all the carpet, everywhere like that. We lost the outer AC vent when we did the dash bar, so I installed a AEM air fuel ratio. I got my boost gauge, keeps an eye on the motor, lets me know if it's leaning out or anything like that, because we have lost one motor due to an injector dying. Still factory steering wheel because, you know, don't need that Momo. Factory gauges. This is our 10-inch tablet that we run our Backcountry Nav Pro GPS system on. USB ports, more USB ports. Factory stereo location right below it. We mounted a race radio. Here's our winter shifter. So this has the Rad Designs kit in it. There's some micro switches in there. It's kind of hard to see. But basically the transmission is electronically controlled, so that micro switch will tell it to either be first, second, third, or fourth gear, depending on the position of the shifter, not necessarily the position of the linkage underneath the vehicle. Factory center console cup holders. We have a couple more cup holders over here for the passenger. So let's walk over to the passenger side and show you. On the passenger side, factory glove box. This is where the factory airbag is. You can just remove that. Fabricated up this little plate here, has our auxiliary fuse panel for all of our lights, switches, ARB, lockers, solenoids, relays. Below that is our URD FTC controller. Keeps a nice spot, it's easy to access, but it's out of the way and you don't have a bunch of wiring, you know, hanging underneath your dash or in your center console. It's just a clean spot for these trucks to have that secondary fuse panel. All right, here it is under the hood, guys. Pretty standard engine cage. We have 4 points going through the firewall, tying into that dash tube. We have our air bump, shock mounts, you see. Factory heater and air conditioning, still intact, so we have all that. The condensers up here, along with some horns. Here's the radiator. This one's running the TRD supercharger. It's got super injectors, URD pulley. We have a fixed fuel pressure regulator, so I can adjust that. Helps with the air fuel ratio. And the URD box is able to adjust the timing, but can't adjust the fuel as much as it needed to. So I'm able to bump up the fuel pressure here to keep from leaning out. You can see just quite a bit of dirt, but still running the factory fuse panel wiring, 4 hood pins, fan shroud, everything's going on under here. All right, now we're back to out back, but looking at from top, we have our 2.5 pound fire extinguisher. This is the fuel safe 40-gallon fuel cell. As you can see, we got our 2 1/4 filler neck, 1-inch vent line. The 1-inch vent line lets you run anything from a dump cam to a gas pump, full throttle, not have to slow down, and make sure you aren't gonna gargle fuel out that filler neck. So that's a nice touch. Even on the Jazz or the cheaper fuel cells, I'll try to put a 1-inch vent in there, just so you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to fill up slow at a gas pump, anything like that. So you can see here, our rooftop tent mount is held on with some 1-inch high or 1/2-inch heims, so everything can pivot with that rear cargo area. And then we use these OD tube clamps. So if we aren't going to be running the tent, we could simply just unbolt all this stuff. It's gone out of the way. I just put a wrap of tape around each side so I know right where to put the clamp back in. It's inconspicuous, no one will even notice that when they're out of the way. Another shot of the panels. Right here is an air chuck. So since we have onboard air for our air locker, I plumbed in a air chuck for each corner of the vehicle. So if I'm airing up my tires and a friend's truck's in front of me, he could tap into the front, start airing up his. It's just more convenient than having one source that you have to drag the hose all the way around your vehicle. Just keep it plumbed in, it's nice and easy. Here's our TT Motorsports quick release jack skid mount combo. We have a rigid amber lights. These are originally just clear lights that I just put an amber film on. It's starting to peel up, but still works. Single spare, held on by a Y strap. This is an old military duffel bag. Just put some grommets in it, zip tie it, bungee it on the bottom. It's now our budget trasheroo. Front runner rooftop tent. It's supposed to be one of the lighter ones on the market. It's about 88 pounds, so it doesn't weigh us down too much, but gives us a nice spot to sleep. All right, let's open up this back hatch, show you what we got in there. All right, so you can see the hatch just opens up, assisted here. These are 250 pound spring from McMaster Car. They assist us when opening it, but once we get down below flat, they're at a slight angle upward, so they don't actually assist there, which let it fall down so we aren't fighting the spring all the way until we close. When we remove the tent, I have some 150 pound springs that I'll swap in. Simple as pulling a pin, just popping them off the balls, popping on the new ones, and you're good to go. Storage area, it is watertight. We have a nice bulb seal, just pushes on the top edge of the box. Up top here, we have our jack handle. Pull a pin, open it up, slide it out. What I used here to keep it from rattling is just a piece of edge guard. Put some slits in it to fit around. Fits nice and tight. This is just a pin with a ball on it. And then just like that, we got some little LED lights. It's held on with some aluminum tape. This is our tow strap. Made a nice little mount to keep it up out of the way, just held in with the bungee. Down below, tool bag, lawn chairs, folding table, cook stove, first aid kit, all of our tire plugs, air upper, accessories, Craftsman tool kit. Whatever the kit doesn't have that the truck needs, like the 15/16 wrenches, 1/8", crescent wrench pliers, etc., we have in our tool bag. We also have a small shovel in there. In here we have all of our spare parts, oils, electrical, anything like that we need. The second action packer's full of all of our camping gear, paper plates, forks, pots, pans, whatever we need to cook some food when we're out on the trail. Alright guys, so that was a quick walk around of the Tacoma here. We showed you what we got for going on for suspension, motor, some interior accessories, storage box, all that stuff. If you have any more questions or got any specific items you want to see, just comment down below and I'll post them up on my Instagram page. There's lots of build photos. I'll try to put the link for our build thread on Desert Rangers down below so you can see all the progress from when this truck had leaf springs to camber kit to what it is today. Thanks for watching.